Hello everyone, it's your boy Ethan. Welcome back to a different type of video. I normally don't do stuff like this, but ever since the quote-unquote shadow patch, the balance patch that came out, tier lists have moved around, legends have been adjusted in my opinion, and I'm going to show you guys why so-and-so is the best in the game and why so-and-so is the worst in the game. So yeah, rough intro, but let's get into it. Okay, so moving on to the first spot, the worst character in the game is Jiro, having Scythe and Sword, I think 3 or 4 defense base. I think that just kind of explains it for itself. This guy has no kill power, his SIGs are awful, he offers really no pressure on the map, and his sword SIGs just, they keep you in the same spot. Other than his down SIG, it's extremely slow, but I mean, it doesn't really do much, you can react to it. His side sig has a lot of force, but the issue is that move is very hard to hit, and his in sig is just his in sig, it's just a hard read. His side sigs, I mean, his down sig is fine, neutral sig is also, but other than that, everything else is just on him. Okay. Moving on to the second worst character in the game, and that's going to be Yumiko here. Yumiko having bow and hammer, really two good weapons in the meta right now. It's just that the issue is that her signature kit is a bit off for people who play Brawlhalla, because her down sig, both of down sigs actually have like setups, and people really haven't pushed the meta on that. So this character is just still undiscovered. Like, she can be really good, but at the same time right now, with how everyone plays her, she's just alright. I don't know, she's okay. Okay, moving on to the third worst character in the game, and that's Lord Vrax. After all of his SIGs have been nerfed and stuff like that, he's just an alright character, to be real. He has blasters, which is very hard to play, and Lance, which also just isn't a good weapon at the moment. Yeah, you have to nair momentum changes and stuff like that, but you have no dex true combos on Lance, so there's really no point. And then on top of that, you have 8 dex base, so it's just a useless stat for Vrax, so that's why he is at D tier. Okay, now next up on the list is, we're going to be moving to Queen Nai. Actually, no, it's not going to be Queen Nai. It's going to be Cross. Cross, you know, he's an oddball. He has very strong SIGs, especially on his gauntlets. His in sig and his side sig on gauntlets kill extremely early. But the problem is that those moves are extremely hard to hit. His down sig on gauntlets is basically useless because that thing is so slow. His gun sigs are terrible. Gun in sig terrible. Gun down sig is the only decent one to catch people who dash through you, and side sig is good off of like certain mix-ups and it kills early, but it's just useless. You have gauntlets, which is really strong right now. If you want to play him for his gauntlets, please do. This guy is amazing. But you gotta remember, you have 2 weapons in this game, and his other weapon just doesn't correlate well with him. And the stats and everything, he's slow, he has low dex. It's just not good. I wouldn't play him. Alright, now we're going to be moving on to Sir Roland, having the sword and lance. A lot of the lance legends are going to be low this patch because lance isn't really looking too strong. Only of course Kha'Zix is playing it, no one else, so that should let you know how the weapon is. It's just like an okay spot. With the sword signatures, you have his down sig, which is quick, his in sig, which covers the whole area in front of you, and his side sig, which is slow, but it's alright. You know, his sword is okay. The problem is his lance, his side sig and his neutral sig seem pretty slow and don't really offer much, and of course you have Lance, so that's kind of really a downside. He does have a good down signature though if you want to play him, so I mean, he has that going for him. Alright, moving on to the next legend, and that's going to be Dusk. So Spear, honestly, from a Spear main like myself, you know, I'd say he has probably one of the worst Spear kits ever. All his hitboxes are just straight lines, you know, they don't really have good angles that Spear doesn't cover. And another thing is that he has Orb, which is a fine weapon, you know, it's okay. But his SIGs are just whack, you know, they're not really strong compared to all the other characters in the game, if that makes sense. Like, he's okay, but that's why he's C tier. He's not like really good. So next up is Olgrim. So let's get into that. So we have Olgrim here. Having Axe and Lance, of course, what brings him down to mid-tier, low mid-tier at that, is his Lance is just holding him back. His Axe is really good, but ever since they nerfed his stacked insig and a bit of his force on the downsig with the hitbox size, he's just worse than he was before. So he's good at mid-tier, but he isn't the best. Okay, next is going to be Magyar, the newest introduction to the roster. Magyar is... let's see, probably the most balanced champ that has been released in the last year or so, I'd say. You know, he isn't crazy, but he doesn't suck either. His stats match his signatures match his stats, and he just does what he has to. Only issue is that his hammer sigs are a bit wonky, I'd say, and his movement speed can affect him a lot, especially in 1v1s. But hammer being incredibly strong right now, and Great Sword still being one of the best weapons in the game if you can play the weapon, he's mid-tier, you know? He's good. Now, moving on to the next character, and that's going to be our girl Nyx. Nyx having Blaster Scythe. Scythe is pretty okay as of now. Ever since the sidelight buff, I see a lot more people playing it, and I see that's honestly still pretty strong from what it used to be. Of course, her Scythe signatures, she has her down sig, which is one of the best grounded sigs in the game, has the longest range. Her in sig, which is amazing, and her side sig, it's good. It has its purpose, and if you gravity cancel it at half jump height, you're able to cover the ground and the air, so that's good. But the issue comes with her guns, of course. Her gun sigs are not really good. They kind of keep you in the same spot, and they don't cover much. Her side sig is just a linear line horizontally that just shoots 2 shots, so you can react to that. Her in sig, though, is a good gimmick move, but it's also very hard to hit. It kills if you hit it, but it's very hard to hit. And her gun down sig it's alright. It's very slow, which is the issue in my opinion on that move, but other than that, it has the force it needs. Okay, next up, man, I'm getting out of breath out of doing this. I thought this was going to be an easy video that I can make in 5 minutes, but nah, this is going to be a while. Okay, next up is Artemis. The reason why Artemis is higher than Nyx is not because the reason she has Lance, it's because her scythe signatures just make up for it. I think Artemis has the best scythe kit in the whole game. Her side sig is broken, her end sig is extremely fast, and her down sig catches everywhere. Like, it is... And then she has like 7 speed or 8 base, I don't remember, but Artemis scythe is amazing. And ever since they buffed her Lance side sig, she is solid on the ground. Like, wow, her side sig is so good, it's actually insane. Her down sig is, you know, it has its purpose for that spike. The in sig is slow, but I'm telling you, that Lance side sig is good, and that's why she's at the spot. Moving on to Orion, the rivalry of Artemis. Surprising that they're together right here, but Orion, you know, his Lance signatures are solid, really solid. His side sig covering the whole map. His down sig is good for backing off when opponents are coming at you, and his in sig is just an amazing anti-air. So he's just... Orion is really solid when it comes to light attack and his signature mix-ups or reads. And his spear is pretty good. If you take the dex stance, you get 6 dex, which is good for spear, of course. But you have your neutral sig, which is good for spiking. Your side sig, which immediately comes out on contact with an opponent, and it can hit very close. And your down sig is a quick stacked option that can get people off you, and that's why Orion is a solid character, sitting at basically mid tier. So that's cool. All right, now we're moving on to Lucian. Lucian is an amazing guitar character. Don't get me wrong, low attack, but high speed, high defense is basically what you need, because on this guy, even though he has 4 attack, right, his signatures kill you extremely early, because why not? His guitar down sig is extremely outdated hitboxing. It covers a gray area of the edge, and it kills extremely early. So does his side sig and his neutral sig. But the problem comes in his guns. His guns are incredibly weak, so if you want to play Lucian at a high level, you gotta have really solid blasters. But his neutral sig on blasters is good. His down sig on blasters, people think it's slow, but it actually has its purpose. It's good for covering stacked options. And side sig is just a quick 1-2. You know, it's all right. You know, that's why he's sitting here. All right. Now we are moving on to Ada. Ada is really, really slept on, in my opinion. People think she sucks, but I highly disagree. Her spear sigs, I think, are honestly really amazing. Her spear down sig, of course, being stacked, also covers spot dodges, which is amazing. You don't realize how good that is. Her side sig lunges extremely far. So, and it has a lot of force. So it's like a quick 1-2 smack in the face. And people never expect it with the new dash changes to that. The issue, of course, arrives under gun sigs. A lot of gun characters don't have good signatures. And that's what brings these legends down. Like Ada, all she has is her in-sig is good. It's hard to hit though. But down sig is you know, it hits but it doesn't do anything. And her side sig is her only kill move on blasters. So yeah, now we're moving on to Isaiah here. The reason why Isaiah is so high is due to the fact that ever since the cannon buffs, cannon's just back on that high tier weapon list because Sidelights are being unjumpable. So any cannon legend you see is just going to be high because of how good that weapon is right now. I played lots of games against Isaiah's, like this one trick named Adam Cole. He's taught me a little bit about his character from playing him. His side sig can be used out of sidelight, and his down sig is really good for edge guarding, and his side sig is just really good for small mix-ups. His gun signatures are probably the best on most of these against like other blaster legends because his gun insig is a quick diagonal degree hitbox that covers an area that guns don't. His down sig is unpunishable, can be used as a ledge trap or bait, so that's cool. And his side sig is his worst sig in this kit in my opinion, but you know, it gets the job done if you hit it. So next is Taros. This is a bit surprising to most of you, but yeah, Taros isn't that strong, guys. Well, at least in high level he isn't that strong. He may be low in gold, but you know, get better at the game, scrub. But he has Axe and Hammer, both amazing weapons right now in the meta, honestly. But the problem just lacks in his slow signatures. Ever since they nerfed him, fixed his hitboxing, he's just kind of you know. His hammer, in-sig, side-sig, and down-sig can still be an issue sometimes, especially that side-sig that can hit you out of nowhere. But other than that, his axe in-sig is just, I mean, you expect it. It's super slow. You know it's coming. His axe down-sig, yeah, it hits stacked, but just stay out of the stacked area. And his side-sig just, you know, goes in a straight line. So he's all right. He's good if you want to play like the big guy in the game, you know, that like that tanky motherfucker. That's Taros. That's who you want to play. But other than that, there's better characters, you know. And a better character like that would be Brawlhalla. Having Blaster's axe, I honestly say he has a better axe kit than Taros in my opinion. Down sig being a better down sig, his side sig being a better side sig, catching the ground and the air, and his end sig being a harder spike. And then of course he has blasters, and his blaster sigs are amazing. His neutral sig is good, diagonal angle. His down sig has an absurd hitbox, it kills early, and his side sig is good for a mix up if they try to back up out of that down sig range. So yeah, that's why Brawlhalla is here. Next is Jala. The reason why Jala being better than Brawlhalla at the moment is because she has sword. Even though she used to have downlight insig as a true combo, and even though that isn't the game anymore, it can still be one frame. And so if you get a dodge read, you can get D-light insig still and kill your opponent in orange. So that's why she's still pretty strong. Her axe signatures are good. You know, her side sig covers a wide area, ground and air, kills early. Her insig can cover reads like Sidelight, Nair, GC, insig, spot dodge, and stuff like that. It's really good. And her down sig is just a quick 360 hitbox on top of you. It's like a great sword down GCD light finisher. So that's why she is there. And a guy that no one expected to like make high on the list is Thatch. So there's been this one trick in high elo, like high diamond. This guy's named Llama. He's shown me a lot of stuff, a lot of tech that Thatch can do, and Thatch is insane. Like, people sleep on Thatch. Yeah, people make fun of his blaster down sig, but you guys don't realize he has a true downlight insig combo on blasters. His insig on sword catch is 180 degrees. It's like Bryn axe neutral sig. It's actually absurd. His side sig on on sword kills super early. The second hit covers the ground and the air, and the hitbox is extremely deceiving. And his down sig on sword is just a quick get off me 360 hitbox. It's insane. His blaster side sig kills early. His down sig kills early if you're able to hit it. But if you're able to time their jump with your down sig, you're able to catch them almost every time, and Thatch is good. If you're good with him, you're good. Like, Thatch is scary. Like, trust me on that. All right, now next up on the list is Sidra, of course, sitting with cannon and sword. You expect someone like this to be higher up on the on the list here, but honestly, she's maybe because I haven't seen a player that's really good in North America with Sidra yet, but from what I've seen, she's people just spam her cannon insig that has no recovery frame, so that's good. Her cannon down sig can cover stacked, but I mean, it's super slow and it has to be a hard read. And her side sig, actually her cannon side sig can be pretty misleading when it comes to hitting. You can slide it off the platform frame 1 and get some like nutty stuff. Other than that, it's okay. Her strength comes in her sword though. Her side sig is good. It sends at an incredible angle, spiking over the ledge every time. Her end sig is an amazing anti-air, and her down sig is an amazing anti-air plus a spike, and you can use it to recover on stage, and it has no recovery frames. So that's why Sidra is up there. Next up is Zol. I say Zol is better because sword and axe, even though they go hand in hand, Zol just has the better cannon sigs. So Zol cannon, his side sig, people think it sucks, but it's really easy to hit and it kills extremely early. His down sig is so good for ledge trapping because of the 4 bullets that come up the ground, and his in sig is an amazing diagonal anti-air that can catch people or people who reset to the ground away from you because you leave the trap on the ground, so they'll run into it, and that's why it's good. His axe sigs are they're alright. His axe down sig is good for catching people horizontally, of course, but you also have your axe sig, side sig to use when people are next to you, and people always expect like a neutral light, a side light, but you can wake up side sig and just catch them off guard. And his insig is really good for catching people that go like high in the air, in my opinion. So that's why he's this high. Next up is Volkov. Of course, he has the better axe signatures than all of these people. His down sig has no recovery frames. His side sig has 2 variants, and his neutral sig is just a good anti-air. But with Scythe buffs, him having high dex, he can true combo to a lot of stuff at early health. He gets Enlight, Nair, Sair relatively easy on Scythe, and on top of that, his down sig is good for people approaching you. His side sig is a meaty fat hitbox that can send both directions for edge guarding and stuff like that, and his end sig is an amazing anti-air that could be used for hard reads or gimp. He basically everything you want if you're looking to play Scythe Axe, you know. Okay, now I need to take a deep breath. It's been a hard 17 minutes already, so that's cool. All right, now moving on to the next legend, and that's going to be Cassidy. Cassidy has hammer and blasters. Hammer is probably it's not the best weapon in the game, but it's probably one of the best weapons in the game. It's really high up there. She also has her downlight insig combo, which is extremely busted, and yeah, she has blasters. Her blaster sigs make up for it, covering all her weak spots, especially sidelight and neutral sig, covering those dead zones that blasters can't, and her down sig is a really good spike, so that's why she's here. And next up is Caspian. Caspian having Gauntlet and Guitars, both weapons that kind of do the same thing, but the reason why he's so up there is because they've been slowly buffing him over and over, like in each patch. So he's sitting at a pretty strong spot. His guitar side sig, neutral sig, and down sig are all relatively strong, and his gauntlet sigs can be used for baiting. His gauntlet neutral sig doesn't have recovery frame, that many recovery frames, so you can move while like the bomb is still out to catch people off guard. His down sig kills early, like really early, and his side sig is just good for catching people next to you, so that's why he's there. Next character is Azoth. Bow and axe, both strong weapons. His signatures are insane. His axe D-sig has no recovery frames, kills extremely extremely early. His axe neutral sig is like Bryn's. It's just a quick 1-2 180 degree hitbox. It's solid. His axe side sig can be used to catch people far. Can be used to return onto stage. His bow sigs, bow side sig beats out spot dodge. His in sig can catch people going behind you. So say if they think you're going to do a neutral light on bow and they try to go behind you, you can use that in sig to catch behind. It has a lot of force. And his bow down sig is the same. Can be used on the ground. And you can like shift your direction while you're down sigging. I don't know if you guys knew that about Aesop, but yeah, it's something you can do. So you can control your movement a little bit and you can catch people off guard with that. And the final character in B tier is going to be my girl Mirage. The problem with Mirage is that her speed is she's slow for the weapons you have. Yeah, her sigs are solid and everything, I guess. Spear side sig is amazing. Spear down sig is okay. Spear in sig is kind of bad. Same goes for her side sigs. Her side in sig is good. Side down sig is good. Side sig is She kills early. She does what she wants to, but she doesn't really fit into the scythe spear playstyle in my opinion. You want to be able to have high movement speed, edge guard, all that stuff, but you can't really do that on Mirage. She has a difficult time killing too, especially on weapons like spear and scythe, to say the least. Alright, now we're going to start on 8, and it's going to be surprising. We're going to have our boy Vector. The reason why Vector is so high is because he has his bow, and yeah, Lance isn't that good like I said, but his Lance sigs make up for it, especially his side sig and his usual sig. I think those sigs are really, really broken at the moment, and eventually we'll see people pulling that Vector out and showing us why he's at this spot. Next up is Zariel. Zariel being bow gauntlets. I mean, what can you say? Those are both really amazing weapon combos. And her sigs are just good. Her gauntlet side sig is good. Her gauntlet in sig is a good spike. Her gauntlet D sig is really bad though, so that's why she's right here. But her bow sigs are good. Her in sig is good on bow. Her side sig on bow is good. But her down sig is but it has its purpose. It's good for catching people coming from off stage. So yeah, that's why she's there. Next up is Mordex. He's high up here because, it's Mordex, right? Gauntlet down sig, gauntlet side sig. Gauntlets in general are good. Scythe is back up to par. It's almost at its peak again. And you have your Scythe in sig, your Scythe side sig. Honestly, Mordex is, of course, one of the best Scythes as usual. But doesn't mean he's the best character in the game, because next up on the list is our girl Diana. Yeah, even in the lore, Diana beats Mordex because Diana has bow. On top of her bow, she has guns. And even though guns are hard, if you can play guns at like the most top level, that weapon is extremely, extremely strong, especially in zoning and building up damage as quickly as possible. And then her bow is just like a character in itself. Like side sig is insane. Her in sig is insane. You could do side light. And if they jump, you in sig and then lead into another D light in sig. Like, it's actually wow. And her down sig is a hard spike. If you GC her in sig on the wall, it sends straight down. There's no diagonal. It's straight down. It's like, wow, Diana is solid. Really, really good. Next up is Thor. This guy is basically like Bodvar, Even though Bodvar has sword, Thor has orb, which is it's like sword. I don't know, it's sword V2 if you want to think of it like that. But yeah, he's a solid legend. Hammer just being strong, that's why he's so up there. And then orb is really, really strong as well. He has good recovery tools. His orb sigs are kind of but if you learn how to use them, they can be used pretty well. And then you have his hammer sigs, of course. His hammer in sig is a good anti-air, quick, fast, gets the job done. His hammer down sig is good for catching people who are in the air in front of you, and his side sig is good as well. So I mean, there's everything you need. Next up is Lin Fei, sitting at high A tier, and that's just because Katars are extremely strong right now. She has high deck, so she's getting a lot of those combos already. And then Cannon with the recent buffs makes her wow, insane. High dex cannon with Silent Sayer being unjumpable. She has downlight Insig. She has Insig that has no recovery frames. It's like, wow, you're gonna see how strong Linfei is in Witchers, I think. People are gonna be playing her. Her cannon downsig is a good spike. Like, she's just good. She's so good. But you know who's better? Ember, because Ember has bow, Insig, and bow. So yeah, bow is kind of whack to fight. Bow having nair recovery, and then her sig just being solid, just kind of pop off. And then she has Katars with high attack, and all of her sigs are right on top of you. So you always got to be worried about all the mix-ups that she can do and everything. And yeah, she can just kill you early if you're caught off guard. Next up is our girl Scarlet though. Originally I had her at C tier, but then I thought about it and said, wow, she has hammer and 7 attack. So I'm gonna put her right here actually. Her hammer sigs are insane. Her hammer side sig kills really early, especially if it's hit off stage. Her end sig kills early as well, and if you slide charge that down sig, you can die at like 90 damage on like Brawlhalla. So it's kind of crazy. Next up is Kaya. Kaya having spear and bow. She's basically just a better variant than Mirage. She's like a better spear than Mirage. Sorry, that was not a better variant. That was really stupid. But Kaya has spear down sig, which is good. Her spear in sig can catch like 6 dodges off of Sidelight. I think it's 5 dodges or something, but I've been playing against Crocky a lot, and he does Sidelight Insig, and that catches lots of dodges, so shows me that that's good. And her side sig is good for like chasing people down. It can be used as a mix-up, so that's what its purpose for. But her bow sigs are where she becomes broken. So everything on Kaya becomes a 50-50 because she can just do Sidelight down sig or Sidelight in sig and catch the jump, or go for the Sidelight D-Light like mix-ups. Like, her sigs are just insane. Bow. Alright. Moving on to Petra. Now, Petra. She has Gauntlet's Orb. With Orb being strong, of course, and she has Gauntlets, she's just automatically at the top. Her Gauntlet Sigs carry her by far. Gauntlet Insig is insane. It's just a bigger sidelight to Shoryuken. Has insane force. Her side sig, of course, is quick, kills early, and her down sig, that teleport, can just catch people off guard. It's just a free sig hit every time. Her orb is kind of you know, it's Her orb insig is good for covering ledge and catching jumps, but other than that, it's okay. Her side sig is good for covering people who stay on the ground a lot, and her down sig is just used for off stage. Like, if it hits, good, but if it doesn't, you're kind of in for a treat, to say the least. Alright, now we're moving on to the real roster of Brawlhalla. This is what all the big boys play. So, we're going to start with Asuri. This is what everyone's been playing as of late. Katar's sword, of course. Sword is a very easy weapon. Her sword sigs are alright. Her down sig is alright. It doesn't kill as early as it used to, but it still doesn't have the recovery frame, so you can still use that move as a bait, which people don't realize. Another thing is that, yeah, her sword side sig is a bit reactable, but if you do it right in front of the person, it can catch them off guard and kill them really early, actually. That move has a lot of force. And then you have, of course, her sword insig, which is just used for spiking, but if it hits, it hits. They are dead. So, and then moving on to Katars, she has, people say her Katar side sig sucks. I don't understand. If you're down sigging a lot, you know, you can mix it up with that side sig. And even though that side sig is quote unquote slow, it has 2 swipes, so it covers spot dodges, it spikes down, and if you hit it at the edge of the map, it kills really early in red. So I don't see why people think Asuri Katar side sig sucks, because that move is really, really good. But whatever, I digress. Moving on to the next character, and that's going to be our boy Ragnar. Ragnar, of course, is better because he just has axe. He has the better axe signatures too. Like, his signature is just way better than Asuri's. He has his axe neutral sig, which is good for catching reads off Silent Nair, good for catching landings or mix-ups when people are coming onto stage. He has his down sig where people think it's like, what? Who gets hit by this? He's just like standing still, but no. People get hit by that down sig because it has lots of active frames. So they expect you to let it go sooner, but you don't, and they get hit by it, you know? And we have his axe side sig. You know, it has 2 variants, on the ground or in the air. If you get the over the ledge hitbox or the air hitbox, it spikes really, really hard. But even if you hit it on the stage, it kills really early. And of course, you have his Qatar sigs. His Qatar side sig is a good mix-up, but other than that, it's okay. His neutral sig is where it becomes a problem though, because if you're caught by that off stage or on the ledge, you're more than likely dead because it's just a free edge guard. Or if he hits you with his down sig, his little fireball down, he'll be able to catch you with the edge guard as well. That is a bit more effective, like later health, because they get sent further down, but it's also a really good mix-up to use on stage when you're approaching. And now we're moving on to my favorite legend in the game, which is Atori. Atori is pretty strong right now in the meta, I'd say. She's not the best, but she's not the weakest. If you know what you're doing on this champion, you can go pretty far. I'd say she's stronger than all of these legends right now, but a lot of these legends can beat her easily if you don't know what you're doing. She's quick, she's mobile. All of her signatures have usage. For example, her spear side is just a quick 1-2, get off me, it kills, it has no recovery frames, it's just a good kill move. Her spear insig is amazing to use when you're catching dodges off a side light. Downsig is a bit, I haven't really figured out how to use that move to the fullest, but it kills really early if you get the full swing in. It can be used for team combos, or if you're like on the ledge and you see them coming up, you can catch them with it and kill them. But yeah, or then when you have her sword sigs, you know, sword insig, they don't have a dodge, downlight insig, boom, dead, good. Her sword side sig is slow. It's really slow for some reason. I don't really agree with it being how slow it is, but it's slow, but if it's hit, it's fine, you know? And then her down sig is also really good. It doesn't have recovery frames, and it's just a quick back off, boom, slash through. You know, she's cool, she's good, she's solid. Now, moving on to the next character, and that's Fate. I do think Mordix has the best scythe, but the reason why Fate is better is because she has orb, and her orb signatures are kind of out of this world. Orb down sig can send up to the right, has a crazy hitbox. Her orb insig comes out relatively fast, an amazing anti-air, and her side sig just covers the whole map, doesn't have recovery frames, kills early, sends down and to the right. It's unfair, it's not fun to fight against. At my ramp, whatever. Scythe, her scythe sigs are you're not really going to be using any of them unless it's like right there in front of you. Her down sig is just good for catching people who are playing far away. Her side sig is just a quick get off me, or you can slide it, you can charge it, and people will run into it, you know, that works too. And her spear, not spears, I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Her scythe neutral sig can you know, it's a quick anti-air, to say the least. If you neutralite charge it, you can get the 3-piece out of the spot dodge read, but you know, there's really no point in doing that. So that's where Fate is right now. Next up is Core. Reason why Core is so strong is because he has gauntlets and hammer. He also has a true combo on gauntlets for some reason. He has downlight insig. I don't know the damage on top of my head, but I know it's a lot and it's not cool. His gauntlet downsigs are amazing. His gaunt insig is really good for spiking people off stage. His gaunt side sig is just a quick grab and it kills early. And his downsig covers a lot of the area around him, and it's good for reads off a side light. Now moving on to his hammer side sig is just a quick pound on the ground, but it gets the job done. And his hammer insig, of course, true combos and is an anti-air. The problem with Core is that he doesn't really have a downsig, but you kind of have some niche moves with it. For example, if you GC downsig on hammer towards like the wall and you hit the opponent, it can true combo into a recovery. So there's small stuff like that you can use Core for, but you know, that's just up to the creativity of the player, right? So next is Throlk. That was his original name because that's his whole old model, but it's Nash. Nash is strong because he has spear hammer, of course, and I think he's just better than Core because for the sole reason of his hammer sigs. Hammer down sig is amazing for getting back onto stage. It has a lot of force and covers a great area on the ground, surprisingly. It's pretty deceiving. His side sig and neutral sig both don't have recovery frames, and they kill extremely early for him having, I think, like 6 or 7 attack. I'm not too sure. So yeah, there's that. His spear side sig is good, and his spear neutral sig are good. They get the job done. But the problem is that his spear down sig is but it has his purpose. But the reason why you would play this guy is because he has low dex and he has stats. He has high stats in every other category, and his sigs don't have recovery frames. So why would you not want to play this guy? Plus he has hammer, so. But you know who's better than Bodvar and, I mean, Thresh? I said Thresh. Nash. I'm thinking of League of Legends now. What the hell? But better than Nash is Bodvar. Yeah, Bodvar. Bodvar. How do I even describe this? He's just a better version than Nash. He has sword, easier killing, consistent combos, consistent damage, and then his sword sigs are amazing. His sword side sig kills early, covers a great deal, can hit the air and the ground. His end sig is a bit wonky, but if you can get reads off it, it kills really early as well. His sword down sig has a disgusting hitbox and a disgusting spike. It's downlight and down sig is also unjumpable, I think. Don't quote me on that, but yeah. And then his hammer sigs are also really strong. The bear, a lot of force. His side sig is just a quick slam like Chorus, but it's good, and it covers in the air as well. And his down sig, it's slow, but it covers great distance. It's quick once you like get past the startup, and it kills really early. So that's why Bodvar is where he's at. Moving on, we have Koji sitting next to Bodvar. Koji has always been a high pick in 1v1s, to be real. He has sword, he has bow. Both weapons have always been consistently high tier, to say the least. His bow sigs are kind of outdated, like his bow down sig, has no recovery frames, quick, covers everywhere, like actually everywhere. His neutral sig and side sig, they have their purpose. They're straight lines covering right and up, but they come out quick, they kill early. It's what you want. His sword sigs, you have D-Light, N-Sig, true combo. N-Sig is like a suction, it sucks you in. His side sig is just a quick 1-2. It's pretty good for catching people next to you. And his down sig is good for returning onto stage or catching people far away. And that's why Koji is where he's at. Next up, we have Wushang. Wushang is so high because Spear and Gauntlets are both amazing weapons right now in the game. Gauntlets having all those true combos, of course. But I think the problem comes with his Spear sigs. His Spear, neutral sig, and side sig don't have any recovery frames, so you can condition your opponent to do what you want them to off of those moves entirely. He kills extremely early, even with his neutral sig, his side sig, even his down sig spike on Spear can kill really, really early. And on top of that, his Gauntlet sigs, you have downlight end sig, covers a whole diagonal horizontal line in front of you, so that's pretty good. His side sig, it's slow, but that spike is huge, and his down sig is just good for catching people on top of you, so that's why Wushang is where he's at. Alright, next we have Jae-Yun and Meiko. I'm just going to do 2-on-1 right here. The reason why they're still up here is because their sigs weren't really touched, let's be real. His sword side sig was touched, Jae-Yun's, but other than that, everything else is the same. His greatsword is still the same. He still has those quick N-Sig, like that quick N-Sig, that fat side sig hitbox. He has everything you want on there. And the reason why they're so high is because even though greatsword was quote-unquote really hard nerfed, it's still the same weapon. It just has it's just a weapon now. You know, it's fair. But people don't really realize that players like Wrench and Sandstorm are still good with the weapon. So these characters are still going to be pretty high tier. Especially the Meiko. Meiko having her down sig on greatsword being automatic release, covering the whole map. Like, what is that? It has a spike. Her little surfs up wave bullshit can recover on the stage is whack. Her down sig is whack on Katars. I think it's quick, and everything else just has its purpose. Okay, now we are moving on to, oh, I forgot someone. Queen Nai. Queen Nai she's alright, you know. She a B tier. Only thing that's holding her back is her speed, but her ground game is amazing. Her sigs are amazing. Everything about her is good. The only thing that's lacking is speed. So that's why she's right here. Alright, now we're moving on to S tier. And the worst character in S tier is going to be Rayman. Having Axe gauntlets, there are just better gauntlet options if you're looking for the best character in the game, but Axe is extremely strong right now. His neutral stick on Axe is good for catching people in the air. His side stick is quick, covers the whole stage, it's kind of busted, and his down stick has no startup, and it spikes extremely strong, especially off stage. It's ridiculous. Moving on to Brynn, character I've been learning. Brynn, I've made a video on her, but spear down sig does 40 damage. I think that should be in and of itself. Her spear neutral sig kills extremely early, and then her axe hitboxes are just outdated. Her axe neutral sig hits everywhere, her axe side sig hits everywhere, her axe down sig hits everywhere, and she has a lot of force. All her moves pack a punch. She's just solid. Really good. Next up is Sentinel though. Because what's better than axe? Hammer. And what does hammer have? Grounded Nair. Which is stupid. But yeah, Sentinel signatures. His hammer and sig has no recovery frame, so it can be used as a bait. His side sig is an amazing mix-up tool that can be used to catch people off guard, and on top of it, catching on the ground, it catches in the air and it catches far. His hammer down sig is a bit you know, it's like those backup sigs, like a Tori down sig, Nash down sig, Magyar I think down sig on Greatsword. It's just good for getting people who are on top of you off. That's it. But his guitar signatures are a joke too. His guitar down sig does 30 damage. 30 damage for a guitar sig, by the way. And it has no recovery frames, so that's funny. His neutral sig, it kills really early and you're kind of like left drifting, so it's hard to punish. And his side sig is, you know, it's alright. It's just a quick jab on the ground, but it has its purpose. So, moving on to the second best character in the game, and that's Val. Having sword and gauntlets, I just think it's a really solid pick to have a Val right now. Her sword and sig can hit grounded, it catches everywhere, does a lot of force, has everything you want. Her sword side sig just gives free edge guards, considering the 3 variants. It has the grounded version, which kills extremely early. It has the side sig spike version, which kills extremely early. And it has the quick wall version that goes straight up. It doesn't kill, but it sends high up and lets you get stage control immediately. On top of that, gauntlets being strong, a lot of her signatures can combo well with gauntlet reads. So you can do sidelight, GC side sig to catch dodge down, and side sig just kills really early, catching the ground in the air, has lots of priority. Her neutral sig also has lots of priority on gauntlets, outdated hitboxing. Like if you GC that move below someone off stage, you're gonna win every time because of how the gaunts are positioned. And her down sig, you know, it's just a quick shuriken toss into recovery, can true combo into an air at early health, so you know, there's that. And that's why Val's up there. And the best character in the game, of course, is Onyx. You know, what can you say? Wow, Onyx, woo! Yes, Onyx is the best character in the game in my opinion. With all his cannon signatures, he has cannon side sig, which is, wow, it's a juicy, just smack down hitbox. It's quick. It covers people on top of you, people way in front of you. It's insane. That move has lots of force too. Another thing is that her N-sig is extremely good anti-air, especially off of sidelight, or if you're just like covering the air in general. Really good. Her down sig is an amazing quick get off me option, like Mirage Spear down sig. It's really good. It covers pretty far too, which people never expect, and it has lots of force. And each side, like each side of the hitbox has different spike angles, if that makes sense. So if you GC that move and you hit the bottom left, it spikes down. If you hit the bottom right, it spikes right. And if you hit the left or right, it spikes left to the right. So that's another reason why Onyx is really good. So because if you can position yourself for this stuff, you can get some easy kills. Moving on to his gauntlet kit, her gauntlet kit, sorry. You have downlight nair, all this stuff, blah blah. But let's talk about the signatures. Your gauntlet down sig is really good because you already threaten the air enough. I mean, threaten the ground enough, but now you have an extra move that goes even further than your D-light or your sidelight, so now people have to respect even harder. If people start approaching from the air, you have your neutral sig to catch them as an anti-air, and your side sig is good for going at people. So instead of just going for like the down sig and remaining stationary, you can use your side sig as a mix-up, and it also puts you in the air. So moves like Gauntlet D-light, Hammer D-light, Sword D-Light cannot catch you, and that's why Onyx is the best character in the game. She also has 8 defense, low dex, so you already know her stats don't matter. But that's gonna be it for this 44-minute video. Oh man, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this tier list. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.